Oh, here is a perfect one. I love this one. Client, she was a woman. Her #1 strength is leadership. And when she found that out, taking that test, she started crying. She goes, and I just thought I was a control freak. And she says, but it's true. And she says, she goes, I am a good leader. And she goes, Bobbie Sue, just this weekend, my family, we had bought this rental, and we had a weekend to get it all fixed up. And she says, within that, you know, I just delegated, and we had it all done, and everybody was happy. But again, there was somebody who had this natural ability that she didn't own. We can all generally, relatively, we can say, this is my weakness. Okay, everybody, almost always, I ask people, what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses, their perceived strengths and weaknesses. Oh, my weaknesses, da 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 da. Okay, strengths? Well, and they're slower, kind of embarrassed. I'm good, and they stumbles. I challenge you guys to know your strengths and own them. Because we have enough weaknesses to balance it out. I mean, we can always do that, but it's to know, this is what I do really, really well. And gain confidence from that, and know that, and that's what you're bringing. Again, this whole thing is about teams, about teamwork. It's what you bring. Going back again to the quadrant, self-awareness, self-management, being aware, social awareness of what the mood is. You know, and being a contract accountant for so many years, I bet Erica's the same because he traveled around. When you're around a bunch of people, like going into hundreds and hundreds of offices over years, you literally can walk into an office, a room, and feel the energy. And that is also a skill that is learned, but I learned it because going in so many different offices over years, and Eric said he traveled a bunch, so you just can feel like how some audiences, they just sparkle, and other, you know, you're like, you just feel it. So anyway, so social awareness and managing others. And again, everybody wants to go to managing others first, and they forget about themselves. But so that's something right now. Again, if you already have a business, great. If you don't, get ready, because you know that's the work, the groundwork you're doing now, and I promise you, it will serve you well, because you want to be able to be emotionally intelligent, have self-control, have the ability of the struggle. Here's one I know about a brilliant man. It is the smartest guy in the room, without a doubt. He wants to be CEO of a company. And then we're chatting, and he says, well, you know, he has to travel a lot. He goes, oh, my exercise and my diet goes out the window. You know, every time I travel, which is frequent, don't exercise, drink too much, eat crap. I go, how do you think you can be a CEO of a huge company if you can't manage your daily life? If you can't manage the, just when you travel, keeping some kind of pattern, and it really going to hit him, wow, you're right. You know, it's easy to go, oh, yes, I'm ready, I can manage this big company. And then our own world is in disarray. One other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is your values. And values change over time, depending what chapter in your life. Like if you're just out of college and you're wanting to just your first job, it's okay to go, I really want to make a lot of money. Or you have a new family, or whatever it might be. And then again, you're getting older, more of my values is wanting to give back, wanting to share, getting to do this is great. So, but it's to pay attention to what your values are, like your core values. And you always want to live in congruency and consistency with your core values. And this is, and once you know your core values, it will inform the decisions you have to make. Somebody who wanted to know whether she wanted to take this promotional job knowing she'd have to travel more. We just did this exercise in core values. She goes, oh, I said my family's first. There's no way I could take that job because I don't want to travel anymore. I want to be with my family. Okay, done. But the money was enticing. It sounded good, but she would have been in conflict. Somebody who says, my number one value is loyalty, integrity, and then you find out they're cheating on their spouse. Imagine what someone's live. So again, what is your value? So that's something, a good homework assignment for yourself, and say, am I living these values? Some people might be in a job where all of a sudden they go, I can't work here. Think of the people who work with cigarette companies. Some people could say, oh, my number one value is money, is making money for my family and my sick daughter, I'm making a ton of money so I can work at the cigarette company. But if someone else might, depending on their values, say, I cannot work here because I don't believe in smoking. But it's personal, and it's not someone to judge. But anyway, so that's something to know. Understand your own values, make sure you live your own values, and when you bring your values into your company, more and more companies I'm seeing, instead of doing mission statements, they're doing core values. And have your team come up with the core values. I showed Rick this up just the other day. I'm working with a man, and he sends me his company's core values. And it's like these pages like, like it has a thing. It's just like, and so I asked him, how many of your employees could tell, there were 7 core values in these 3 pages of just you know, how many of your employees could name the 7 core values? He says maybe 2 out of 15. So it's like, so everybody on your team has the same values. If someone doesn't, they're probably not going to be involved in your team. So, and when you hire, make sure you get to understand the person you're hiring's values, because again, right there you can see this isn't going to work. Personality differences, yes. You want people with different personalities. I know one, oh, you know what, I totally spaced, but I got sidetracked, I'm sorry. But anyway, you want people, when you know this is my personality style, like Rick's opposite of mine on some, so I go and ask him his opinion. Let me have your perception. People see it from different ways depending on their position. The 2 guys who beat each other up, the coaching guys, turned out we took the Myers-Briggs. They were exact opposite, really strong. So one was an E, one was an I, one was an S, one was an N, one was a T, one was an F, one was a J, one was a P. I mean, it was the perfect storm. I mean, they were both exact opposite. But you know what? Once they could see that, and they together, it's like, he's not trying to piss you off. You guys are just so different. You approach different. And then you look at their strengths. One guy's strength was humor. And I can't remember the other guy, but but his humor, he didn't have a really good filter on his humor. And anyway, and the other guy was super serious. So anyway, there was just, but then they got along fine. I go, you guys may never be best friends, but together they actually brought to the management team 2 very important pieces of the puzzle. And once they realized that, they go, we're looking at things different. It was apples and oranges, but they ended up actually working great. And they realized, and that is something, when you have somebody who they're just rubbing you wrong, just go, what is their personality? I'm a J, he's always 20 minutes late. He's probably a P. Is he doing it to piss me off? Doubt it. You know, but as a leader, you don't want to be the person who's showing up 20 minutes late every day if you have the meeting, because they're going to copy you. So I think that is about what I had on my list. Last thing. Candor. The word of the day. Be honest, open with your team. I heard this, it was Maxwell, who is a leadership expert. He says, if you want to make everybody happy, join the circus and be a clown. And he says, because if you truly care about your team and about the people who work for you, you will be honest with them, and you will tell them, even, you will use candor and share with them to help improve them so they don't derail, and sometimes it's hard, but be transparent, be open. If you need to talk to somebody, go directly to the person. Don't tell them to talk to them, because I think that gets people into so much trouble. But I think that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Repeat what you said. Strength overused
weaknesses. They can be. They can become weaknesses. It's just to be aware, and especially in times of stress. Again, like let's say someone who likes to clean, in times of stress they're going to clean. And anyway, just be aware that it's just something to be aware of. Any questions? Yes?
I just wanted to make a statement. You mentioned the CEO example, how his life was in disarray, and you made a comment saying that he wouldn't be prepared for the position of being a CEO because he wasn't able to manage his own life, his personal life. I don't necessarily agree with that, because some people can just like clearly separate the personal life from the professional life. So
Okay, well, I have to say though, I coach for a very balanced life. I don't believe that that is healthy or good. If you have to live your life compartmentalized, it generally becomes very unhealthy.
Yeah.
So I think people should be able to go from work to home to be, I mean, he wanted to be the healthy guy, right? He wanted to be the person he was at home where he had his routine. He wanted to do that, but he wasn't holding himself accountable. You know what? After when I said that, because he wants to be that CEO, he made a list. He's a J. He made a list, and he takes it with him now when he travels, and he checks it off, and he does it now. But mainly just because I challenged him on that one thing, he is now holding himself accountable. And that's something that's like, where do you let yourself slide? And then it's like, why am I doing that? I keep saying I want to do whatever. Hold yourself accountable. And it's hard. Or help someone help you hold yourself accountable. But, so that's the story. But thank you for bringing that up, because it is, but I do believe there shouldn't be it's not a separation between church and state, you know, family and work. I think it should be blended. Yes?
I want to thank you for these comments. The language that I didn't have that really validates a whole lot of things that I've experienced in life and learned from you. I would like to make just a quick point about a point of pride for our community here. The Anchorage School District is a national leader in social and emotional learning. A woman named Vicki Blakeney has done amazing things. And for those of you who have kids in school, or some of you may have kids in our school, the district is really working on the very characteristics of human development
I love
that
that.
you spoke about, and recognizing that.
Because that's where emotional intelligence needs to be brought into the classrooms at an early age, so it is normal. Talking about empathy. We just, Rick and I just read something that was by an astrophysicist, I don't remember his name. He says his dream will be reading, writing, arithmetic, and empathy. That is all taught in the classroom since kindergarten. You know, and I think I went right on. So, and yes?
I just wanted to ask you to elaborate a little bit more on the IQ versus EQ, and how you just said that, you know, they want to bring EQ into classes at an earlier age. I didn't know what EQ was until I got to college. I never even heard of it before. So is it something that is learned that you can build on, or is it like IQ, you know, you should be born with a certain
EQ, it is, some people have, again, some natural abilities, but it doesn't matter. No one can say, you know, I suck in this, whatever. You know, I'm not, it's self-awareness. Everything, it's improved. It's, again, first is just figuring out what it is you want to change. What is it you want to get better at? And bringing in emotional intelligence into the classroom is just bringing up the conversation. I just talked with MBA, and we had a workshop, and it was the first time he ever heard emotional intelligence. And he says, how come I'm 35 years old, I'm educated, and this is the first day I've ever heard emotional intelligence spoke? And I said, but it's changing. Coaching is, you know, but it is. There's a ton of books out there about emotional intelligence. I'm going to, I think you have my email, but I'm going to hand these out too. You can, first off, I invite any of you to, if you want more articles, I have some great articles on social intelligence, emotional intelligence, leadership, teamwork. I could have, but they would have hated me. Or, you know, giving you a bunch. But I would love to, use me as a resource, and any kind of questions or things like that. But I'm gonna, yeah.
Would it be possible to put some links up on some of that stuff? Or?
Through Scott, sure. Yeah, I can. I will do that. That's actually a great idea. I'll send. Can I get? Yeah. Scott's busy for the next week, and he didn't heckle me. He said he was going to heckle me because he knew I was nervous, so he didn't. So thank you. Thank you all very, very, very much. And I'm around for lunch. What? Oh, okay.
What was the name of the test on the authentic happiness.org?
It's BIA, which is Values in Action, Character Strengths, or Survey of Character Strengths. You will see on that website there's a list of different assessments. Take all of them. I mean, they're all free. It's all scientific. But I always just do that first one. But there's one, are you depressed? And, you know, and there's articles on all the different areas of strengths. When you find out what yours are, you can dig in a little deeper. Because, like, what do you do when you're like, my number one strength is gratitude? It's like, great. What do I do with that? Thank you. You know, what do I do? So, you know, so you do is all of a sudden you're like, okay, what do I do with that strength? If that's my strength, humor, like that, you know, is great. You know, so you know, you'll see they're not strengths such as I'm a good writer. It's more